Surely most of you have heard the story of the man with the sack when you were little. Maybe they called him something else, since it varies depending on the location. The Coco, the fat extractor, the boogeyman. But it's always a sinister man that lurks at night to kidnap defenseless children. It's a legend that parents use to scare their children, so they go to bed at the right time. And that's precisely what my parents did with me and my younger brother, and it worked perfectly. We would run to the bed and hide under our bed sheets without daring to peek out. We live in the Plains region, and over here we call him the Whistler, because when he gets close, you can hear him whistling musical notes in a creepy and chilling tone. He's all disheveled and carries a sack on his back, where he stores the bones of his victims. That really is a terrifying story to be telling a small child. What were my parents thinking? However, as soon as I grew up, I realized it was all just a myth, and I stopped fearing the Whistler. However, my younger brother still feared him, even though he didn't want to admit it. He had always been a scaredy cat after all. And because I liked to play pranks on my brother, I took advantage of that. I would wait for him to fall asleep. I would get out of the house without anyone noticing, and then I would start scratching the window to wake him up, just like the Whistler does. Then I would start whistling that terrifying melody, and I didn't even know how to whistle. I learned how just to prank my brother. Now that I think about it, I feel terrible. I made him have a terrible time, and one time he got so scared that he peed the bed. One day he confessed it to my parents, and they immediately suspected that I was the culprit. They eventually caught me one night, and I was grounded for a long while, and I deserved it. Years went by, and although I and my brother get along well, he still resents me for those pranks. I've been studying abroad for years, but during the summer I like to spend a few days with my family, so we can all hang out together at least once a year. I chatted with my brother until it got dark, catching up reminiscing about our past shenanigans. And sure enough, we ended up talking about the Whistler. That's why it was so funny to me when I was sleeping, and I started to hear strange noises outside, as well as that creepy melody. I instantly knew it was my brother trying to prank me back, although it was so obvious it was ridiculous. The next morning I threw him a couple of sarcastic comments, but he swore to me that it wasn't him. Maybe he thought that I still feared the Whistler and that his prank would work, but to me, it was pretty obvious it was him. However, the third night I was tired of it, and I decided to wait for him outside the house to startle him. He appeared at midnight, getting closer to my room's window, squatting and whistling the song. I couldn't help but laugh, when suddenly, I saw something which froze me in shock. A strange man got closer to him from behind. He was very tall, probably had 2 meters in height, although he was bent over. He was wearing old rags and was carrying a sack on his back. He then raised a wooden stake, as if trying to hit my brother with it, so I had to come out and yell at him. "Stop it!" The man turned around, but I couldn't distinguish his face under the shadow projected by his straw hat. My brother was terrified, and I said the first thing that came to my head. "We're very sorry about making fun of you. We'll never do it again, but we're not kids anymore." I armed myself with courage and took a step forward. "Go away, there's nothing for you here." The man waited for a few moments that felt like an eternity until he turned around and disappeared in the middle of the darkness. I rushed to my brother to hug him. He was still trembling, and we kept watch the rest of that night, as well as the next ones. However, that strange man never came back. We don't know if it was all a coincidence, if he was just a burglar, or some crazy man lingering around the house, or if after so many years fearing him, we actually saw face to face with the man with the sack. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you on the next episode.